with the Celtics, they got the talent, no doubt, but I don't know if come playoffs they'll really be able to lock in. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's the thing. The Celtics brought back 13 out of 15 players that they won a
Man,
championship with last year, and that's hard to do in any sport to bring back like a good chunk, basically 98% of your roster you had last year. So, yeah, to your point, the Cavaliers haven't had a dynamic run in the playoffs with this core yet, but in order to be the team, you got to beat the team. And
it's
I think
facts.
they got to do that, but I definitely still think the Celtics are the favorite to make it out of the East. But I think the Cavs can give them a run for their money.
Okay, yeah, I don't disagree with that. Now there's another team, and I'm gonna just raise some speculation here. I'm not even gonna throw my biases at you. I know, a lot of people expect me to. A lot of people expected me to say something like, "Oh, Pistons about to be the most dangerous team." I'm not gonna be crazy. I'm not gonna be a delusional fan right now. But one of the teams I think can really, really be a huge threat in the East, mainly because I think they can compete with everybody, is the Indiana Pacers. Now, I personally can't stand the Pacers right now. Can't stand the Pacers. And I'm realizing I can't stand any team who's kind of a threat to the Pistons. But the Pacers specifically, I say they're a big threat to whether it's the Cavs, whether it's the Celtics, because they have the personnel to adjust to any of those teams. Whether they got to play big against the Celtics, whether they got to play big against the Cavs, they can do that. And really having Miles Turner and Siakam down low, being able to stretch the floor, it causes a lot of damage when you're playing against teams like the Celtics and also the Cleveland Cavaliers. So I struggle, and I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, man, Pacers, they're sitting right now at the 4th seed. They're not getting a lot of popularity and a lot of attention because they're at 4th seed and they play good team ball. But that's a team to me where I feel like they could definitely cause some damage and beat one of these top seeds. Do you think that's possible?
Yeah, I think it's possible. Based on the fact that last year they did have I won't say a cakewalk, but they did get a trip to the Eastern Conference Finals, getting lucky playing a banged up Knicks team in the second round. But yeah, I agree. I feel like that trio of players is a threat. I mean, they got the experience now because whether or not how they made it there, they have played in the Eastern Conference Finals together. So they know what it's like to get there. And I feel like they can go on a run based on how the Eastern Conference landscape is. I think they are a legitimate threat as well.
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing with them. So you mentioned cakewalk too, and I know the cakewalk whole thing that the playoffs is it's hard because obviously when a team is supposed to win and play you like and they lose, then it's you can't do much about that. But speaking of cakewalks, I got to go ahead and just bring the attention here. The Celtics had the easiest cakewalk to the finals you could ever dream of. Like, I mean, everybody and their mama got hurt. So I personally think the Celtics, yeah, they did win a championship. They took care of business. Injuries wasn't their fault, but assuming everyone is healthy in the East, do you think they get back to the finals?
Right now, you got to say yes, but to your point, yeah, they did have a cakewalk. But I feel like they are the team to be the favorites because they play well on the court offensively. They're hard to score against. You really got to work hard to score against them defensively. When everybody is healthy in the lineup, it's really hard to say can anybody to throw them, whether that's the Cavs, the Knicks, the Pacers. That's how good they've been playing basketball over the last 2 years in the Eastern Conference.
So I'm gonna go on the other side of this. I'm gonna go on the other side. I think they can get dethroned. And the reason I say I think they could get dethroned is because a lot of teams in the East are so closely competitive right now. Like, even if you look at the standings, a lot of teams are like 1 to 3 games apart. And the Celtics last year, they were clearly like, it was a clear front runner. Nobody's catching them for the number 1 seed. Right now, they're number 2 seed. They're 3 games ahead of the Knicks, 9 games ahead of the Pacers, and then so on, for Bucks and the Pistons and stuff. But it's just like, I haven't seen the same dominance that I've seen from them. Yeah, they blow teams out still on occasion, but it's just like not every night it's there. So I think they become beatable just because they already got one. And then even last year, they were beatable. It's just everybody was hurt. So I'm like, I don't know. It was hard to lose when the other team's star is injured. I'll put it that way. But anyway, so let's move to the Western Conference real quick. Let's shift it over. Teams in the Western Conference. Who's your top threats in the Western Conference that can cause some ruckus, maybe get to the finals, knock some teams out the playoffs?
Oh, so the first team that comes to my mind is a team that just won a few years ago, the Denver Nuggets. I feel like when
Yeah.
that time comes, they could cause a lot of damage out in the West because Nikola Jokic could be on his way to winning his 4th MVP, is averaging a triple-double this year. If healthy, the Nuggets with Jokic, they have brought back Russell Westbrook, his joy playing the game of basketball again. Not the same player he once was an MVP years ago, but Westbrook, Jamal Murray,
Mm-hmm.
Gordon. They got the core to go out there and give a lot of teams out in the Western Conference a run for their money. And even though the bench isn't as strong, I still feel like they can still give a lot of Western Conference fits.
Yeah, this is true. I feel like, too, with the West, a lot of teams are so inexperienced and so many guys are young. Like, so many people are talking about Oklahoma City Thunder and what SGA is doing. And J-Dub, they're balling. They are a good team, but they're just really, really young. And I think when push comes to shove, if they got to see big Jokic in the playoffs, Jokic is probably going to take care of business. And, hell, I think even if they got to see Anthony Edwards in the playoffs, and Edwards and them going to take care of business, even though they've been playing very bad. So I don't want to, put them in that situation. But even at the Memphis Grizzlies right now, number 2 seed, very young team. Jaren Jackson been playing out of this world. Kind of a runner-up for Defensive Player of the Year if Wemby isn't in the conversation. But it's the talent right now. The teams we thought were going to be good in the West are not good. Like Suns, garbage. Lakers, debatable. People feel mixed ways. Warriors, garbage. Dallas, I mean, who knows with them? We don't know what trajectory they on right now. But a lot of teams that we anticipated being good in the West ended up not being good. So I think that kind of hurt a lot of teams' chances. But I will say one of the teams that stood out to me who could potentially, maybe, outside of the Nuggets, cause a lot of damage, I think a surprise would be the Clippers. A surprise. Just a surprise. And I only say the Clippers just because, Clippers, they just got so much talent over there. It's hard to count them out with so much talent. And I know they ain't did nothing since they've been together with Kawhi, Harden, and Paul George. They haven't done anything. But it's just, with Kawhi, when he's healthy, that's a great basketball team. So that's my only thoughts on that. When Kawhi is healthy, Clippers definitely have the potential to knock teams out of the playoffs and shock the world in terms of, beating teams and possibly even going to the finals. I know I sound like a madman, but just saying, when Kawhi is healthy, things can happen. Look at Toronto when he was there. So I'll leave it at that. Any comments on that?
Yeah, I agree with that statement about Kawhi and Leonard. I feel like the days that he went on that magical run with the Raptors is forgotten about. I mean, he dethroned Giannis, he dethroned the 76ers, he dethroned the Warriors, shorthanded or not. He put an end to that dynasty run at first with the Golden State Warriors. And then it's just sad because the caliber player that Kawhi Leonard is, being a great two-way player and one of the greatest small forwards, in my opinion, in NBA history, that he hasn't put it together in terms of being healthy since he's been with the Clippers for the playoffs.
Man.
So that's the only thing. But if he's healthy and locked in, I can't say that they're not a threat in the Western Conference.